So let's get started. I'm on the porch and we're gonna head down the side garden, but first I wanted to share with you my Bosco Bell rose. Isn't this just gorgeous? Now the one thing I love about this is a David Austin rose, is that it blooms all summer long. Just these gorgeous blooms. During the high heat of summer, they get a little bit scorched, but most roses do. And then behind it this is a peace rose. This is one tough rose that has gone through a lot and keeps on chugging. So it's wonderful. This is the upper side garden that goes up there. It's not completed yet, and I usually do that with part of the front garden tour, so we'll leave that for then. And here is one of my Test Uberville roses in the barrels. I have not gotten except one bloom off of this so far this year, but the late freeze in May really harmed it, and so it's just a blade. But look at this, that clematis. This one is Supernova. Got this from Brushwood Nursery. I am enjoying it thoroughly. Now here's the sidewalk that goes to the street. This is the table I'm working on. It's out here to be repainted, the base anyways. But here is this is the purple rose. I'm trying to think of the name. If I don't think of it right now, I will put it up on the screen. But this one I got to go with the love song because I thought it would just be perfect with it. Plum perfect, that's what this is. Plum perfect rose. And it's doing well in the container. Here is the one Test Uberville rose I'm getting the bloom of, and I could see more starting. This one this is Sugar Sweet Lilac, and it's an early bloomer, the clematis, I mean, if you can see that there. And it got zapped, the blooms got zapped in the freeze, and it won't rebloom that I'm aware of, but I'll let it go. It's putting on new growth. So here is the road side of my side garden going down. The Roseanne geranium is doing beautifully. It just sprawls and goes wherever it pleases. If I wish to chop it back to get a little more control, I can. It'll just keep blooming. Here's one of the peonies. This one was a pink one, and it just bloomed the one time because I had put these in not last March, but the March before. Yes, not this last March, but the March before. And it's just getting going. And here is a ground cover rose that I have on the pergola up front, not pergola, but obelisk, doing beautifully. And you see it's got these big canes being thrown out. I didn't want it right here because it gets so rampant. And I dug it out once and it came back. So I probably will dig this one out because I have a beautiful climber back here that I want to get going. This is called Awakening, and it is similar to New Dawn, except it holds its flowers longer. My only thing with New Dawn, though it's a beautiful rose and blooms prolifically, is it fell apart so easily. It was quite messy and it wasn't what I wanted. Look, my daisies are just getting started. These are my regular Shasta daisies. I also have crazy daisies that are coming up. I planted more from seed this year. This patch of iris needs to be thinned, and then I can put something right here for the summer. So here is my Nearly Wild rose. It's a shorter rose, so it gets kind of crowded out here. I'm going to move this to a spot where it won't, and then I can plant something right there. And I'm not sure what. This is my, what is that? Oh dear. It'll come to me in a minute. It has these long, bright red flowers. I hate that when I can't think of things, but I will. Look at this peony. This peony has been blooming and blooming and blooming. And even though we've had some high temperatures, it keeps going. I need to cut back the ones that are getting blown out and kind of getting tattered. And then the other ones that are coming up, you see more buds are opening, like right there. So it just has kept on, and look how tall that is. That peony got planted like 4 years ago. So it's just doing wonderful. And there's one of my little bitty ones down there. So lots going on. The feverfew reseeds itself. I thin it as need. It's really easy to thin. It's so shallowly rooted. And right here is where I was thinking I might put that rose, because it's right here. The Nearly Wild seems to do better when it gets part shade for me. So this would be a perfect spot. I have some bamboo in pots right here to create a screen, because right here is my little patio seating area for my studio. So let's go down a little further. More feverfew, I have containers over there. All of this stuff right along here has freely reseeded. I let it because it creates a barrier here. The deer don't like to come through it. So whatever will grow, this does not get irrigated here. I have my lilacs that I had started from suckers there. And then down here is that raised bed container. I thought, oh, I'm going to try this down here. And I have 2 dahlias that I thought were not going to come up in their pots. Threw them in here and they're growing. So I have a little soaker hose in there. I'm going to do something different, I think, so that it gets properly watered. And I have, this is either a zucchini or a cucumber. I don't know, it came up in one of my pots in the greenhouse. So let's go up and come down the inside of the side garden. So we're back on the sidewalk. You can see my shadow there, the sun's coming over. But here is the whiskey wine barrel half, and I planted some pink wave petunias in it. The violas were a reseed of their own volition. This is my trumpet vine that I have been trying to train into a tree. So far, so good. It's coming along just fine. This one down here at the base behind the barrel, I need to cut out. It's obviously gone through the bottom of the barrel and coming up in areas I don't want it. I just trim them off. This is my David Austin Abraham Darby rose. And it's in a container. I had to dig it up. Many things were getting eaten by gophers over the last couple of years. So if it looked like it was suffering, I dug it up. Now this is a little sedum I got at Annie's Annuals, and it looks like it's dying out from the center, but I'm hoping it will take back off. Let me get the tag over here really quick and see which one it is. See if it says sun, part shade, sedum acre elegans. So anyways, I thought it was a pretty little sedum, so I'm hoping it takes off there. This is my Brumancia, however you pronounce it. Beautiful, beautiful blue flowers. Great ground cover. I just whack it back when it starts to get too crazy with my weed eater. And up on this obelisk, I love these metal obelisks. I want to find more. The garden center I get them at hasn't had them the last few times we went. This is my Dreamweaver rose. This thing is a climber and it blooms all summer long. I love roses and different things that will continue to bloom. So I have an echinacea coming up. My cat's pajamas nepeta is doing just gorgeous. It has been doing great since the spring. So definitely a keeper, and I'll find some more if I can for the other side. So far I haven't been able to, but I know I will eventually. So on the other side is, this is an agastache that is coming back. This will bloom all summer. Here's my other Bosco Bell roses, just loaded with buds. And this is my Jupiter's Beard, or valerian. I can never say the horticultural name, but if you look those up, you'll find it. This also blooms for me all summer, especially if I deadhead it. Like, see this one back here? It's kind of gone to seed, but I'll cut it back and it will rebloom. So I planted some little seedlings down here. That is a penstemon dazzler, so hopefully it'll take off. I have some little boxwoods I had started from cuttings. I have them on the other side as well. They're getting a little obscured because this one is like behind a foxglove. See right there? So, oh, we got a mosquito trying to get me. Let me. Okay, so this black-eyed Susan right here is a volunteer. So I have a lot of things that I let go to seed. They seem to flourish. So there's nothing prettier than a flourishing garden. And this will start blooming when many other things have stopped. And I think the contrast with the blue, the yellow with the purpley blue catmint nepeta will be just gorgeous. And as I would do deadhead this so it keeps reflushing with blooms, the nepeta. So let's go. I planted some amazing gray poppies, and I'm wondering if these are it. They're more of a burgundy, and then they fade. Look at the bees. The bees are loving it. I've noticed that with the poppies. The bees, they're particularly popular with the bees. But down there is another little one. This one I think is red. It's not this purpley, but it's still beautiful. The barrel I need to weed out. I'm pull some stuff out of. I've got the, this is a single rose, but it's beautiful. It's got pink in the center, and it's named after a ballerina, and I've got to remember the name of it. I will. It was one I've had wanted for a long time and finally was able to get. This barrel kind of gets washed out with the gutter above it really pours in the winter, so I think it really flushes out any nutrients, so it might be a tough spot for it. I had planted it in a barrel because, again, I wanted to protect it from gophers, but I may go ahead and remove the barrel and put it in the ground. The other roses seem to be doing fine. So maybe this is an area that gophers don't want to come. My foxgloves are nearly done. I have more agastache, or agastache, some people call it, in here, which will bloom in the summer. I have thought about putting some of my delphiniums back here. I killed most of my pink ones, so I might need to make another trip to Annie's Annuals to get some more. So my purple, my pagan, I think this is pagan purple, I may be wrong, is coming up here. It might be the pink one. I can't remember. I remember I was moving them so quickly that I just wanted to save them from whatever was getting them over where I was at. Either that or they just petered out, or the drought this winter. So down here is my Phyllis geranium, hardy geranium. Look at that color. I have one in the secret garden as well. This is a salvia. I'm trying to remember the name. I'll have to look it up for you. My Zephyrin Druin, however you pronounce it, rose back here. It's doing great. It blooms all summer as well. I used to have it all the way up the porch post, but it would make this black mold. So I wanted to keep it on this obelisk, and it'll be just as beautiful. I do miss it going across the eave, but it's not the end of the world. So back here I have a Japanese maple. It's still in the pot, so I have to be really careful to keep it watered. Doesn't dry out. Let me see if I can find that. Salvia, oh, Mystic Spires salvia, there's another one. Does really, really well, and it's easy to propagate from cuttings. So this is my Crown Princess Margareta rose. You know, I've had it for several years, and it's just kind of meh for me. So I don't know if I'll keep it. I may plant another rose down here to climb with it, and then maybe leave it. I'm not certain. Like I said, I haven't been that impressed. I wanted it to be a darker, deeper color, but I don't think it gets bleached out here. So let me back up a little bit so I can do the other side while we're going down. Or I guess I could come back up that side, huh? So let me go along here. This is my Warsaw Nike. This is the time of year that it is just so outstanding. I love it. Just love, love, love it. So any rose I plant here would have to complement it. Maybe that one I had in the barrel I said I was going to put in the ground, maybe I'll put that over in this corner. I think that would be beautiful with this. Now this will get be finished and start to go to seed, like you see these here, and I'll just, oops, sorry, was it these here? And then I'll just cut those off and it will just keep blooming. Not quite as heavily as it is now, but it's enough to be beautiful. So here is my Grandpa Newt rose. This is the one from my grandparents' farm. I don't know what exactly it is. It could have been a blaze, but it was the one my Grandpa Newt always admired from his spot on the back porch when he would sit out there. So some larkspur in here, which just reseeded itself and I let it. I'm going to pull that up because I got more things to put down here. And this is monk's hood coming up, and I need to support it so it stays upright. It wants to lean. Now this is a little geranium, hardy geranium that I got from down when I went to Philoli. And bought it in the garden center there, but it's highly available. I've seen it other places, and I just love it. And I'm hoping it stays shorter. I don't think I really looked at some of them get big, like my Roseanne one I showed you earlier, and some stay smaller. And this is just some potted plants that need to get in the ground. This is a penstemon I bought down at Annie's Annuals, and look at that, it's an apple blossom. Anyways, that's gorgeous. My containers, I've mostly gone with evergreen plants in here. You see wire vine. This is the mountain boxwood. And I did just put a lobelia in there for a little color. Mostly because it was dying in a 6-pack and I didn't have anywhere else I wanted it at the moment. Okay, let's turn around and go. Here's the path to beside my studio. Hopefully I'm not jiggling too much for you. This is my little patio garden. Now this is I cannot ever remember how to pronounce erodium, something like that. But look at this. This blooms constantly all summer long. And I have the white here. And here's a couple potted plants. And then I have the pink over here. And I just love them. They spread, they overwinter. And the ground cover between my stepping stones I'm trying to get to spread is Corsican mint, which when you step on it, it is so pretty. But I will dig up little clumps and put them in the other sandy parts. This is just paver sand, and it seems to do fine. But you can see why I'm put the bamboo here, because it kind of screens it from the road, and especially as it thickens up. So we're going around this corner. I had meant to move this climbing rose this spring, winter, fall, whatever it was, and I never did get to it. And now I'm thinking I might just keep looking for those wire obelisks I showed you the other roses were on to put here, because this seems to do really well here. I just didn't want it back up against the studio wall because it gets that black mold that's hard to scrub off. So I just we'll try to find one of those obelisks again. They just haven't had them in stock. I guess they're very popular, or their supply is hard to come by right now. So another hardy geranium, that's the Roseanne. This is a free cedar. This is my rose campion that I let come up here. I like shorter plants, closer to the path, but this is such a beautiful color and was doing so well. So I just let it. Down here is some, I've got Monarda. This is the pink one, I think, or the purple rooster. I can't remember, but it'll bloom soon. The larkspur, which I probably will pull out because I've got so much of it and I want other flowers to shine. Here is, I think this is my Ambridge David Austin rose, but I had several over here and I'm not sure, but it's gorgeously blooming away. This one didn't seem to get hit so hard with the freeze like the other ones did. This one gets a lot of shade, so it's not as thickly covered with blooms as many others. So here we're going around to the back side of my studio. I wanted to show you something that I've got. This is called a sub pod, and It's a raised bed, and then in the middle is a worm bin. So I'm trying to fill it up. I start with filling it up with plants I've pulled up, and then I put a compost or chicken debris on it, and then I'll put the worms in it. I get lots of the red wiggler worms in my chicken house, so I'll dig them up from there to put in here when it's time. So let's turn around. You notice I have a bunch of things back here along the back alley. I've got roses and stuff. I didn't have room for them in my garden, put them out here in the interim, and they took root so deeply because I had to reach for water that I can't get them up now. But they bloom there, and I just enjoy them. More larkspur. This is my demi-tasse rose. And it's this thing, it prefers here because it gets a little bit of shade, and this thing blooms like crazy. Look how huge that thing is all summer long. Down here, let me move these plants to the side, is my Queen of Sweden rose. I moved it from where it was getting eaten and hoped it would not get eaten here. I'm going to have to move these larkspur out of the way because they're blocking it. Oh, one of my favorite roses, not roses, daisies, but look at this. The long, skinny petals is so different from others that are short. And there's the raised bed from the other side that I showed you earlier. You can see how thick those flowers are. Now they're doing beautiful. You can see why I let them just run rampant. And then I love these doubles. Now there's one I tried to start that is a pom-pom, but I didn't, it germinated, but then I couldn't get it to grow on. But, life gets crazy and I'm not as attentive as I need to be. Look at this. This is Bear's Breeches, or Acanthus mollis. I'm hoping it's supposed to get really big. So I'm hoping I keep it watered and it will get big. But, we have such trying conditions for different plants that like the heat and warmth. Now this thing back here, I don't remember what is it called, but it does wonderfully here. It has the beautiful purpley foliage that I love. That weed needs to go. Didn't even notice it till just now. And a Japanese maple I have planted here beneath the shade of the pear tree. And of course some begonias here. Hopefully these will bloom. Last year I didn't get very many blooms from my begonias. So there's another one of my oriental poppies. This one has bloomed off since spring. So it's been doing little sporadic blooms, not like a bunch at once, but still enjoyable. A volunteer foxglove that really needs to be pulled up, and I will do so soon. I love look at the throat of that, just gorgeous. The back side of my patio, my little studio patio I call it. This is one of those climbing roses I showed you, or ground cover roses over in the side garden, and this one I'm going to put on the back fence to let it cover it, because it's such a rampant rose that I think it will do a good job covering it. But here's the view from my little patio. I've got some penstemons and let me see, this blue penstemon. I'm sorry, I'm walking on uneven ground. Look at this color of this one. Isn't that gorgeous? This one I need to trim up a little bit. And this foxglove I need to pull out because it's pushing the penstemon over. But down here, I'll have to see if I can get a video with these open. They are just gorgeous. This is a ground cover. This is Delosperma. This one's Table Mountain. And this one, I think I've got the thing right here. No, Peridot. That's the yellow one I had, and it didn't make it. I don't know why. Got a little slug on there. This one's Mountain Flame. But they are like a flame when they're open. So like I said, I'll try to come out here when the sun's hitting. And this one's a beautiful fuchsia. Look at it coming over this wall. I probably showed you this before, but it never fails to amaze me. So here's the shot of the Delosperma. Now when the sun is shining on this, it just glows a fiery red. But it also kind of blows it out in the camera. But look at this one. This does this all summer long. And I'm hoping this one spreads as well as this one. It comes over the wall. I may replace the peridot one. It's a real pretty yellow, and I'm not sure why it didn't make it, but I will give it another shot just in case that was just a fluke. So that is that. So the dianthus, this is a perennial dianthus, I'm sure, and they're doing beautiful. This hosta is getting kind of scorched, so I think I need to move it. I thought it would get enough shade here, but I think it gets a little too much sun after all. Now I had moved my, I don't know if you snowball viburnum back there. I don't know if you can see it behind there. And this is the Erigeron glaucus Wayne Roderick, that's right, that I got. And it's supposed to do great all summer long, and the pollinators flock to it. So a great pollinator attractor and feeder. So you can see, and in that barrel there, it's kind of obscured, is my love song rose, the one that made it through the freeze. I had showed you where it zapped him back. I had no hope for it. It even has a bloom on it. So, a bud. So we'll see if that one's going to come back. I'm so happy because I just love it. I have a delphinium right there coming up. Hopefully you can see it. The sun's kind of coming through the trees. That's okay. It's summer. Love the sun. So let's go up the other side because I missed it on the way up. And I've meant to put these violets or the pansies in the ground because I'm doing getting everything out of the pots that I can because of the water usage. I will pull up these larkspur. These larkspur were not meant to be here, but the hummingbirds absolutely adore them and flock to them. And I could see this from my bench in the secret garden, and I'm enjoying watching the hummingbirds just eating on this all summer. Well, not all summer. I says all spring now, early summer. This will go to seed, and then I'll pull them out, and I'll have something. I have a boxwood down here somewhere. Here is a plant that I learned about from Linda Vodder, and this is the lime version of this. Why can't I think of it? This is the lime feverfew. Look at that chartreuse color. I love it. So I'm going to try to make sure and get these seeds to spread. And it stayed, unlike my other feverfew, would kind of die back, this one stayed. So I'm hoping it stays like where it's some kind of a pop of color even in the winter. Here, back here's this Veronica. Look at the bees being all over that. Another pollinator favorite. I'd have to find the tag in there to see which one that was, but I got that one at Annie's Annuals too. What I like about Annie's Annuals is they have a lot of natives. I'm in California, so it's California natives that are great for the pollinators. They're not nativars, they're natives. There's a difference. So down here's my Jubilee celebration. This is another rose that for me blooms nonstop all summer long. So far, the gophers have left this alone. Stop. Go. And they haven't eaten it. I had Bosco bells not far from here in the ground, and they ate it. I ate on them and almost killed them. So I don't know why, but I am trying. I said before, a castor oil mix, and I pour it on, so it's supposed to deter them. You see that poor foxglove, hollyhock, and it's got rust really bad. The rust this year is super bad. The lower foliage isn't really seen. I've debated on taking this out completely, but I'm just going to go in there and I take off all the damaged leaves, and when it dries out, the air like lack of humidity, then it seems to not perpetuate through the summer, and I have pretty plants. So more daisies. I don't think these are my crazy daisies. These will come out. and I will replace it with my crazy daisies. This one is just reseeded, and it's not a big deal to pull them out because it's just getting too bulky and it's becoming a bully here, and I want other things to mix in. Now here is some Nepeta I started from seed, and it's white. I had 2 of them of the white. The white were harder than the purple, blue, to germinate. So, but I'm thrilled with 2 of them. Supposed to be a perennial here. This is a hardy geranium. It's Orion. It's supposed to be superior to Roseanne, but I haven't seen how yet, but I do love it. It's gotten tall, and if I don't want it to clamber through the other flowers, I will put a support ring around it, and that way it'll just rise above and be gorgeous. So now we're back to where I showed you my boxwoods and all of this side. So there we go. Just a really quick once over. I don't remember if the California poppies were open this morning when I did the video. Probably not, because they open once the sun hits. But it just makes this section glow a golden color. That is beautiful. And when they fade and start to go to seed, then my daisies and other flowers in here will take over. So my friends, that is the side garden, this late June day. This is June 29th. In my studio back there, I need to spend some time in there getting some painting done. I'm so behind on doing painting lessons, but that's okay. It's garden season. So I hope to see you in my next video.